Cent Podcast.
Hey everybody, it's Matthew again, and I'm back with another special interview. This week, Rizzo and I spoke with Drew Harding, who's the co-founder of MetaFactory, which is an auction platform for community-owned brands and custom digiphysical apparel. If you haven't heard of MetaFactory, it's a really, really awesome project, as the name implies, affiliated with the Meta Cartel, which is, of course, composed of a legion of DAOs, or decentralized autonomous organizations. Well, Drew, myself, and Rizzle, we talk about the origin story of MetaFactory, where it came from, what the grand vision is, where it's going, as well as the process of actually launching a brand on MetaFactory. Right now, there's artists such as Twisted Vacancy, A Lot of Money, Skeeny, Vans Design that are cooking up some amazing things for the public to see in the future. They also talk about how MetaFactory itself is a grand experiment. It is a DAO, of course, but it's a DAO that is focused on manufacturing community-owned goods through the lens of an apparel company. It's pretty mind-blowing stuff. Drew also talks about the timeline of MetaFactory in terms of the genesis, funding, and when to expect goods coming out. And as of today, you'll be able to participate in the Genesis auction for the MetaFactory. So look out for that. One last note before we begin, but my audio quality on this episode is a little bit less than stellar. So 1,000 apologies, and I beg your pardon. Anyways, without further ado, I really hope you enjoy the conversation that Rizzle and I had with Drew Harding, co-founder of the MetaFactory. Okay, we're live. This is Matthew, and I'm joined with Rizzle this week with our guest, Drew Harding, who is just another robot at MetaFactory, which is the auction platform for the creation of community-owned brands and custom digiphysical apparel. Welcome to the show, Drew.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Cool. So I think it would be cool if we could get started with you introducing yourself to the folks at Cent. Maybe tell us a little bit about when you got into crypto, what you've been doing up until you got involved with MetaFactory, and then take us on a journey into where MetaFactory is going.
Yeah, sure. I had many, different careers and jobs in past life, but I've been involved with tech and specifically software development for probably 15 years or so. I started a web and mobile application development company, actually a pair sister companies based out of LA. We do like a lot of nearshoring to Uruguay, where we also actually have a headquarters now. And mainly focused on media entertainment clients, a lot of stuff in the startup world. And in that, doing a lot of kind of product development, product strategy, helping others to model and understand kind of what the both the revenue and business potential, and also thinking through like the product itself and the UX, UI. Obviously through like both of that and my other interests, I got exposed to crypto, Bitcoin through one of my associates around, I want to say like 2013, 12, 13. I went home, he told me about it, went home, read the white paper, and basically fell in love with like conceptually and philosophically what this meant. Big proponent of sound money and the kind of faults of the problems within the current economic system, and like that history, and saw this as a very interesting approach and possibly a solution for kind of addressing a lot of those issues that are slowly coming to a head and will be more and more so in the future. And then, around, obviously interested, started to get involved with mining, started to explore what could be done, which back in that time was basically dark web or gambling games. And then come around, 2016, 17, on the back of the Ethereum ICO and emergence of kind of the ICO craze, started to really see a trend change around consumer-facing use cases, actual business models, and economic plays that were a change from what the past again of gambling and like dark web stuff, and got really intrigued and thought, this is probably like a turning point for the industry as a whole. Recognized as possibly like a .com rush situation for crypto, which it on reflection kind of ended up becoming, at least at a valuation standpoint. And so I decided to step back into more of a silent role in my the agency I founded, and went full time into crypto, and started with doing some bounties, looking at various projects. Obviously, was doing the trading and ICO game like a lot of people. And then I ended up doing a wallet design competition and winning that for a project called Pillar. And ended up doing some freelance work and then getting more involved with that project, and actually joined them full time as a head of product around the beginning of 2018. And I've actually been involved with that project intimately, and kind of driving the product strategy around that play and that project, which is partial wallet, but more focused around personal data management and self-sovereign identity solutions, and kind of like this general Web3 portal dashboard. Through that work, got really involved with the community, doing the whole community circuit and hackathon circuit, and meeting tons of people. It's a very small, kind of close-knit community, as you guys probably learned. And got really involved with a group it was San Francisco Hackathon, ETHSF, at the end of 2018. There was a group of people working on meta transactions and decentralized relayer networks and trying to solve that whole problem, which we saw as being like a really huge UX benefit. And that ended up evolving into what is now known as the Metacartel, Metacartel DAO. And so I was kind of one of the original members of that. And in all that kind of, it's really like, and for those who don't know, Metacartel is a grant-giving organization of a bunch of like-minded colleagues involved in crypto, looking to give grants towards consumer-facing dApps and projects looking to kind of further the UX around crypto and blockchain experiences. As that kind of DAO has grown, we've also started to incubate more and more internally and start to explore through kind of our own ideas and understanding how we could push the envelope a little bit more on some of these things that we're realizing have tremendous value and potential. And MetaFactory is one of those kind of incubated ideas or projects that have kind of spun off and be taken on a life of its own.
And then, like in your own words, could you tell us what MetaFactory aspires to be, and then like where it's at today?
Sure. Yeah. The inspiration was really, it's multiple. We obviously looking at scarcity and what that's, what both from a Web 2 and physical standpoint in streetwear, as well as like what's happening in the crypto world with NFTs, around art, around gaming assets, around virtual lands. And there's really over the last, 5-6 months, there's been quite an explosion and more attention being put on that space. We were also inspired by kind of what was happening with Unisocks and like token bonding curves and some of these other concepts. And it was actually a conversation at DevCon this last year in Osaka around we need some better like swag in this space. And, like we should create some crypto brands. We should find a way, like there's a lot of amazing design talent. We should find a way, and an artistic talent too. We should find a way to like surface these things, and also kind of recognizing that physical goods are as a tangible kind of anchor, serve a better way for a non-crypto native to possibly get into this space and get exposed to some of these concepts. And it has more of like an emotional resonance for most people, whether that be a shirt or like a little figurine, or, like physical goods tend to have that like really powerful kind of resonance effect. And so the idea went back and forth and, started to evolve in many different ways. And obviously through our experience with like DAOs and community and everything that was happening with Metacartel, we started to look more at, why don't we actually make these brands community owned and operated? Why can't we use more of like a DAO structure to offer direct participation, share the responsibilities, and participate in the success of a brand? And then, also the kind of crypto tie-in and seeing the emergence of, again, virtual worlds and the metaverse and all these things that are happening. Why don't we take it a step further and make all the physical pieces, give them like create digital complements or matching digital wearables in these virtual worlds or in a gaming platform, or combination of things, and really leverage the NFT side of it as well. So that's kind of where like the digi-physical piece came from. And so where we've kind of netted out is, and we explored a lot of different potential avenues for how to make this happen in the relationship between community and creator and MetaFactory and whatnot. And what we realized we need to do is just make it really simple and solve most of the heavy lifting and the problems on like both sides. From an artist perspective, apparel's challenging simply from a production standpoint. There's a lot of on-demand printing services and various things out there, but when you're talking about fully ground up custom cut and sew constructions and designs, there's a pretty large barrier to entry to even understand where to start with that stuff, and then the cost to get it done and make it happen. So we've established all those relationships. We've built a technology platform that enables an auction to take place, which is essentially a crowdfunding of this brand. And we've, extend this opportunity directly to various artists and creators and influencers themselves who already have community, and say, here's this new canvas in apparel. And apparel is really just like a first step. This could really apply to many other things, but this was a fairly clear narrative to kind of direct this kind of effort down. And here's this new canvas. We can take your designs. We can actually then allow the community to buy in, support, and crowdfund the creation of this brand. And as a result, they're now given governance and ability to participate in decision making around that effort. And then they get perks that come along with that. The membership itself and the brand is also like earning value. There's value accrual coming into play. And that's kind of the next stage, which we have plans for, but aren't really speaking to yet. But the main thing is, it's the best way, I guess, to think of it from an artist and or a community or participant standpoint is kind of like a supercharged fan club, where you're kind of buying in to get all these perks to support the artist, support the creation of these custom goods around the artistic talent that's behind it. And then, you're able to also, again, vote and participate in the direction as a result. The artists themselves, we're working with them to kind of supply a general style guide, brand style guide, so that acts as kind of the guide for and the set of standards for that brand. And it allows them to not have to be a extremely active participant in the sense of always having the responsibility of like designing the next piece or whatnot. And the community themselves actually work from that style guide, and they could submit actual proposals for new designs, new apparel, apply existing designs to different types of apparel. This is kind of the genesis auction and the original creation. And then after that, any additional products that are created by that brand factory, they're able to sell them direct to the community, sell them at auction, sell them on an appreciating price curve. We've built a series of interesting auction and sales models that can be leveraged by the community. So MetaFactory as a partner in this whole thing acts as, again, the kind of technology partner, and then facilitates all the production, fulfillment, and shipping of the goods in coordination with each individual kind of brand factory.
You guys have so much going on, like so many interesting parts.
Right.
I think I follow most of it, but I'm wondering like if there's a way that, like, for example, you guys seem to have partnered early with artists like Twisted Vacancy, A Lot of Money, Vans Design, Skeeny, probably a few other artists that I'm missing. But if it's possible to kind of give an example, picking like an artist or a designer, having their brand and walking us through what the process is that a designer in their community could expect.
Sure. Yeah. So an artist like Twisted, who we're actually working really close with, he's kind of like our flagship official artist outside of MetaFactory itself, kind of releasing a brand. And that's more us working through the kinks and making sure like the platform is basically all stable and everything's good to go. Obviously, we think there's potential for that to be a brand. But anyway, so talking with Twisted, he is essentially going to be creating, as I mentioned, a specific set of style guide standards, using assets and artistic styles and things he's used in the past. Maybe he actually goes in new directions and creates a completely kind of different look and feel. And to that point, the brand doesn't necessarily have to be the artist's name. The artists behind the brand, they can call it whatever they want. There could be artists involved in multiple brands. They could have multiple brands themselves. So that there is kind of, it's a little open-ended in that sense. And as we start to unveil some of these first auctions, you guys will see that. But he basically shares that style guide along with what we call the genesis item for that particular brand. And we put this all up for auction. The auction is basically a blind bid process. So everyone who wants to participate, they make a bid, which includes their membership, this genesis item, and the chance to participate in the governance of the project. The higher they bid, the a larger share of membership that they receive, which includes weight of governance and the basically stake in or ownership of that brand. At the end of the auction, basically everybody who's won, everything's split accordingly. They receive their membership in the factory, and we have created a platform or like a series of tools to manage both the submission of proposals, the voting on proposals, and the direction of voting on and guiding the direction of this thing. The artist receives a large percentage of the membership shares and the ownership of the brand in and of itself. MetaFactory as a partner also receives, and they're a player. So the three kind of pieces are the artist, MetaFactory as tech and production partner, and then the Genesis auction members or the community who get involved to participate. And then we all work in concert to grow that brand and introduce new products and sell those directly to individuals and Most of it is going to be limited run custom things. Take a very similar approach to the scarcity markets that have been seen and established through both, again, streetwear and also kind of NFT and crypto art.
Dude, I'm really interested in the tokenomics aspect that you're referencing. And this project is really fascinating to me because, like Matthew said, you guys are trying to weave in a lot of things that have not historically been weaved together into one, coherent project and everything. And obviously from your background, man, it sounds like you know exactly what you're doing. I'm curious, so I know I can probably speak for Matthew as well. Like both of us and you too, we're all like way deep in the rabbit hole, and this is like a really cool and exciting project to all of us. But I'm curious to know your angle, since you're like, in the crypto aspect, in the fashion aspect. Who do you see like your long-term like target demographic being like once you are, trying to expand outside the rabbit hole? Are you like going for fashion conscious people, or mostly like crypto people who are also fashion conscious, or where does this expand to in 6 months or a year from now?
It's a great question. And like being completely upfront, this is really a huge experiment. It's an exploration of how DAOs can evolve, how community owned companies and organizations can exist, and through the lens of brands and apparel brands, essentially. I think there's a definite future in those themes. And I think it's an important evolution of like commerce and of ownership and of just like this space, because we tend to really focus on decentralization and the high tech primitives and protocol and all that stuff. Super important. Don't get me wrong, but I really think there's something about the community piece that is actually going to that has the potential to attract a mass audience in a way that the principles of decentralization and sound money might not. I think most of the people who are attracted to those things are kind of already in this space. And so, yeah, to more directly answer your question, I definitely think this is in its current state, it's definitely targeted at the crypto native kind of space. And also that's been the reason for the focus on like the artists and that are already kind of have a following and a growing community in the space. We believe once we have a few of these under our belt and we've kind of seen the experiment run and we've evolved and learned kind of what the best way to frame this and to offer it to other individuals, that we can slowly start to attract the hype beast culture and like the hype beast communities, typically youth driven, really into kind of hot new artists and brands. Understand kind of like the scarcity aspect, which I do believe comes from like the potential for secondary sales in those markets. But I also think that is naturally an extension of community itself too, which is, like I want to be a part of something bigger or more important than myself or exclusive and cool. Right. So, and so I think that there's definitely a potential to reach those. And that's really on our roadmap in the sense of, being able to offer direct credit card payment, do the swap to stablecoin in the background. We admittedly are centralizing aspects of the whole process in order to make it very straightforward and to take a lot of the heavy lifting off the user's hands, with the intention of trying to extend this out to a more of a mass non-crypto native audience. And as I touched on earlier, I think that physical apparel and tangible goods have a way to build that bridge or act as a gateway into this space for these new audiences. And it's kind of I look forward to that kind of opportunity or that narrative of, hey, that's a really cool shirt. Yeah, where'd you get it? Through this platform, blah, blah. They get involved, and just because they love the apparel, they buy it. And then it's like, hey, you have this wallet that we've created for you. By the way, we've sent you this digital wearable. Well, what's a digital wearable? It's like, well, it's an NFT. Well, what's an NFT? It's like, there's going to be a ton of learning for that piece, but it's through a lens and with a narrative that I think makes it a little bit easier to understand. And they're already kind of committed to the thing because they own the shirt, they own the physical good. So now it's like, oh, cool, virtual worlds, like this is a thing, like very cool. Oh, I can like wear this awesome shirt in like this virtual world as well as out on the street. Like why not represent in both ways? Like there's a premium, a speculative premium on this stuff. Oh, there's like a whole market here. Like this is like, it's gamified, if you will, like so I think there's an opportunity to actually bring people into the space through these types of opportunities that are more emotionally resonant than I would argue than like a come earn 8% on your die. Like, right. And don't get me wrong, that 8% is amazing, right? It's amazing in today's world. Like 3% in a savings account's a freaking miracle. But I think for most people, it's still not enough of a carrot to like kind of get them involved and excited. And again, I think it's just, that kind of emotional resonance that's missing.
Well, dude, can you walk me through like a super basic example? Because I definitely feel like there's an open door for someone to walk through. And if you guys were at NFT NYC, for example, and had a booth or something and were selling cool hoodies or apparel, I would have absolutely bought one from you. There was nothing going on like that. But, so I buy a hoodie, let's say for $50 or whatever from you guys. I get the token. And what's your like, I'm at a conference, elevator, quick pitch to like sell someone on like, what do they do with this token once they get it? Because I know you said like with certain things, you get a like proportional share of sales and there's like a lot that goes into these tokens or maybe I'm making it more complicated than it really is.
Well, no, to be fair, there's a lot of pieces and some of the strategies that we've talked about previously are aspects of what we're working on. The kind of holistic mission hasn't been like directly put out. A lot has been kind of teased out, partially because we've been figuring it out as we go, and partially because there is a lot of moving pieces, and we're trying to figure out the best way to position and see how it resonates with people. But there will be the physical good, there will be the digital kind of wearable and complement, which in and of itself is possibly a multi-piece NFT when you talk about the avatar physics in like crypto voxels or whatnot. There's NFTs related to the art that maybe the pattern of that design is based on. There is NFTs that will be specific and special to the members of that brand that the artist will create. And, there will be all these, like, it's essentially getting limited edition drops in the form of NFTs. And then, the biggest piece of this is just really the memberships, which are DAO shares for those familiar with like that kind of that angle, that the users will also receive proportionate to their bids in that Genesis auction. And it's likely there will be this first auction, which is kind of the ground floor. And then there would be possibly at different phases as decided by each brand factory, another auction to bring more people in, an opportunity for those who aren't interested to leave and possibly, I guess cash out. So there's some securities explorations going on around what can be done and how it can be done in terms of the actual profit sharing ownership side. But that's a tricky one, as you guys can imagine.
So like there's two things that I really want to do right now. First of all, like I want to join in on the like one of these like Genesis crowdfunding auctions so I can just be involved in one of these brands. That's number one. But number two, like I want to buy some physical swag and I want to get my digital wearable, right? What is the timeline for any of these like things that are going on? And I'm super excited about, I'm trying to FOMO about, but I'm like, when can I start the
yeah, man, we want the things. When do we get the things?
Yeah. And obviously we've been a little bit set back along with everyone else with current, global situation, COVID and everything. But we have we're shooting for the 10th of this month. So basically 10 days to start the MetaFactory Genesis brand Genesis auction. That'll probably be a 10-day. We're going to explore between 7 and 10-day auctions. So it's kind of like an extended thing because we want to give people a chance to discover and get in. Shortly following that, we'll be doing Twisted Vacancies brand and first Genesis auction. That is, I'm very excited for. Both are going to be awesome. We've teased out the bomber jacket, which is a pretty cool reversible bomber for the MetaFactory one. No one's really seen the Twisted design yet. We have work and designs already done for Van and Alada as well. Skinny's getting started to do some pretty amazing stuff as well. We've actually made wearables for most of these already as well. So a lot of the heavy lifting on that side's done. It's more just been cleaning up the tech, testing, and also doing some kind of general market research and how to frame these things and structure them on a legal, business, marketing perspective to make sure we're not getting too far ahead of ourselves. And as you guys know, it's easy when you're in the rabbit hole or down the rabbit hole to kind of fall victim to the echo chamber, if you will. So it's important to kind of be putting this stuff in front of the non-crypto natives and getting their take and all that stuff. But yeah, looking pretty soon. Hopefully we'll have actually 1, if not 2 auctions done in this next month. So, and probably looking to keep that kind of cadence up moving forward. And initially we're going to be focused on Genesis kind of initial brand creation auctions. And then those brand factories themselves are going to start deciding to do secondary drops, tertiary drops, or some of that stuff might be direct to sale. It might be, again, auction format. So it's going to kind of start to evolve quickly. And the other cool thing, we think by having an aggregate marketplace, we're going to be able to enable better discovery and audience growth and kind of participation for everybody involved versus an artist trying to spin up a store directly and kind of sell direct to it.
What type of apparel are you focusing on, at least initially, or types of apparel? Because I know you're trying to port into crypto voxels, and multiple conversations have been had about how difficult pants are to port into crypto voxels and how they're just not in style right now in crypto voxels. So right, exactly. So yeah, what's your main? I know you mentioned the bomber jacket. Are you going mostly t-shirts, jackets types of things? I know you rolled out the socks demo.
Yeah, the bomber jacket is really also kind of showing other artists how you can really push the envelope, because that is a reversible. It's got light and dark mode. So the front is white and it's got kind of this vaporwave throwback graphics, and the black is more cyberpunkish, kind of with a different pattern. And that we have a nicer silk button-up tees. We have hoodie. We have a long sleeve shirt. We have someone working on a kimono. Socks are always on the table. Shoes, basically nothing is off limits. Shoes are a tricky one because of size, the huge sizing range, and also fit. But generally nothing's really off the table. The more custom kind of crazy things, there's longer lead times. And since a lot of this is kind of crowdfunding made to order, it'll be possibly a good wait between the original order and when you get your thing. But that's also kind of, nature of the beast with the limited run. But yeah, it's all over the place. No one's really done pants yet. I know Hamad, who's our creative director, MetaDreamer, and the individual who did most of the design for our bomber, the MetaFactory bomber, he wants to do some joggers next. So there will be some pants. CryptoVoxels is a tricky one because of, again, as I mentioned, the avatar physics. You kind of have to piece together longer sleeve tops. You also have to work within, there's current limitations around only seven wearables at a time, which should seem like a lot, but when you're talking about multiple pieces for a shirt or for a pair of pants, it kind of breaks down fast. So, and I have no doubt Ben and kind of CryptoVoxel's team are hearing that stuff, and they're looking at the future and exploration of this stuff. We've been speaking with Decentraland. They're obviously keen to open up UGC, especially around wearables, but haven't really been able to get a clear answer as to when or how they're going to do that. They keep kind of deferring to we're creating a DAO. Talk with the Somnium team and CEO around their kind of virtual world space and getting involved with them. We really would love to be agnostic in the sense of those platforms we support. Obviously, we're partnered with Sandbox, which has their kind of gaming platform come out, and we might. We're strongly exploring also general digital asset creation and possibly avatar creation, generally beyond just the wearable component, because we see again fashion is about to be redefined. If you think about the possibilities of a brand being both a digital and a physical brand, and if metaverse and virtual worlds are going to just continue to grow and be forced to grow due to current situations we're in, it kind of seems like a natural evolution that you'd see brands that would cater to both and kind of walk that line. So we're kind of hoping to empower brands and show them how that's possible and evolve with these platforms.
Yeah, I've seen some of the initial, wearables for MetaFactory. I know Sinkas has been rocking that a lot. He's awesome. Want to try to get my hands on any of these digital wearables as soon as possible. I just want to find a way for you guys to take my money, basically.
We'll keep you posted. Yeah. There's on our website right now, we've got an email capture. So for you guys, for the audience, obviously, go ahead, sign up, and we'll keep you guys posted. We're going to do some longer lead times going into each auction where we're kind of hyping it up, and we'll do a slow reveal of the Genesis product. And, that there will obviously be a complimentary wearable with that. And then the auction itself, it's kind of, you can bid at the kind of reserve price if you just want to get the items and you're not so keen on membership. But if you see that potential for this brand to grow and thrive, bidding up higher to get a higher proportionate share of membership and therefore kind of ownership is, that's on the table for as a potential for you as well.
Yeah, and it's cool that it's going to start happening pretty soon on the 10th of April. So that's sweet. But I kind of want to go back to a point that you mentioned before where, okay, we have the brand designer, the artist who founds it, right? And then we have the community that will buy into it initially. And then there's also the MetaFactory, which will have a stake. I'm just wondering what the ownership stake going to be. There's going to be a 40% share for the artist, 10% for MetaFactory, and then the remaining 50% will be divvied up amongst the community. Will that be predefined, or is that going to be specific to each brand?
Probably both, in the sense that artists may have a take or want, there might be, they might want to own more of this themselves, or they might directly want to explore the community side and give more up to kind of the members. MetaFactory will have a minority, but a fairly substantial stake simply because of the work done in facilitating all the stuff. We also have to consider our production partners and taking care of them, both on the cost of goods and their take. So the exact numbers will probably be specific to each individual brand factory, but will be defined ahead of time, so people participating will obviously know what they're buying into and what the offer is, right? So.
Dude, I have a slightly unrelated question about the correlation between the physical and digital goods and everything. And I'd read the Medium article that you guys put out a little while ago about, I guess you got a silicone chip that you guys believe in that is going to go into your physical products that will correspond with the digital products. And wait, well, before I finish, do I have that correct, or is that not the case?
Yeah, yes. If you guys are familiar, it's nothing we've created, to give credit where it's due. If you're familiar with the Kong Cash team, the guys who have made currency, like paper or like plastic currency that have the chips directly on them, they're kind of almost like cold wallet currency in a way. We're collaborating with them, and we're looking to use their chips in our garments to have this link between the digital and physical pieces.
Well, and so I don't understand a ton about how that would work. So, but as soon as I read that, the first thing in the back of my head, I'm like, once society gets back to normal, how is everybody on the streets of NYC not selling a chip that corresponds to their shirt that, syncs to the blockchain or whatever? And I'm sure you guys have thought this through and have some angle on to, counterfeit prevention or, making sure this thing works as you anticipated. But I'm just curious to hear your thoughts on that subject.
Yeah, I mean, they've put a tremendous amount of R&D into creating a secure enclave essentially attached to an NFC. So we'll probably be leveraging actually their app directly, which a user can basically scan, associate their physical item upon receipt with the wallet that kind of controls or has the NFT and their number, they got number 1 or 2 associated to it. So it's really more about tracking the metadata and the chain of history around ownership and various things, really solving the tracking of the digital with the physical is pretty tricky. It's not really a problem we're focused on. If someone wants to sell the jacket and keep the NFT, it's kind of their prerogative, and vice versa. We don't want to necessarily restrict NFTs from being sold or wearables from being sold by others. That's kind of, again, that's part of the beauty of tokenized goods, right? But there is, I guess, something to be said for being able to have this tracking benefit, and especially when it comes to from a collector standpoint, if you can be like, this is item number 1, I've been the only owner, I still directly own the NFT and the collectible and the wearable that comes with it. That in 10 years, if a brand is still successful, or even if it's not, but the artist behind it is, now successful or, bigger than they were, the potential there could be large. Other interesting thing, just in general exploration around what can be done with these chips, we can do airdrops directly to the physical item and to that enclave. We can do an anniversary drop, or say CV updates things where wearables are rigged and they can be a single piece versus a multi. We could just do an update and be like, here's your jacket all as one now, So the other cool stuff is, because of what's available, technically there's an exploration around actually having act as a kind of a crude wallet as well. So we would love to get to a point where we're able to actually offer apparel that have basically kind of baseline wallet features built right in. You could, there's a lot of really exciting things that we've been talking with the Kong team about that we could do. And yeah, it's another place for us to explore, experiment, and see how we can't evolve these ideas of fashion and what they could be as we move into this immersive digital future.
I love how the individual physical pieces or physical apparel will serve as wallets that will connect users to this digital metaverse, and allow the designers to kind of reward the folks who have purchased all these items heading forward in the future, enhancing the experience that people have, not just with their physical product, but in that evolving, opening metaverse. That's super exciting to all of us, because I know you mentioned, and I know you already have a sick build in CryptoVoxels. You're talking with the folks at Decentraland to try to work something out. Sandbox is there. I scooped an estate and some land recently in the past two crowd sales. But like, what are your plans? Like, what's your vision of what the metaverse will end up being to take it to a more higher level?
That's a fun one. I really see all these independent platforms as layers against the bigger vision, if you want to think of it as Snow Crash or Ready Player One, or I think metaverse actually as a term was birthed from Snow Crash. But yeah, I like each of them kind of have their own focuses, their own values, pros and cons, benefits. I've already seen, and this has been really exciting for me, is I think it was actually Ben or someone on the CryptoVoxel side talking about, hey, let's create a standard for wearables, or let's create like starting to think about the interoperability of these platforms, because, metaverse is thrown around a lot and people have their own definitions, but it's that the real metaverse or point is when that kind of full interoperability and immersive across world experience really kind of evolves and comes into light. Sandbox seems to be more game experience focused. CV has really kind of captured the artistic and collector side of things. I think also because of the raw nature of it all, it really appeals to creators and makers. Decentraland has got a little bit more of the polish, and they've been around for longer, and as a result of that, a lot of the land sales been open, and so it's almost they've attracted kind of like the more economic minded, the land speculators, the trying to think through, it's like, and it's a more immersive virtual world. Somnium with its huge focus on just the VR side and like that, so. And you can see the convergence of all this stuff potentially in the future, even with artistic styles being different, with like one being voxel based, one being more like Unity based and whatnot. But I think it's inevitable. You're looking at an opportunity for a completely new, untapped economic landscape to emerge. I have no doubt there will be jobs in the future where people will be like, I'm going to work, and they'll throw on their VR headset. And that will be like their whole world will live within that space. And, a lot of what we're, building today is foundation for that stuff. And I have no end, especially when you're looking at everything that exists basically in the physical world can be rebuilt in the digital space. We've actually had these conversations internally a lot around even food, maybe not from a substance or subsistence standpoint, but as an economic gain or a means of scarcity or unit of account. Sure, why not? So it's my vision for this stuff, I've kind of seen the light. I've been down the rabbit hole, and I think that it's inevitable, and it's going to be the wildest things we've thought of in sci-fi or read in books. I think we'll be surprised by where human creativity and innovation are able to take it. It's on us to craft it in the light and the vision we want to see it be, and kind of. That's why I'm really excited to kind of empower and elevate creators and people who are really leading this conversation, and also give communities that are trying to support and get involved the opportunity to participate as well and help kind of push this narrative in new ways. So,
dude, we need to hang out more often, man. I'm right there with you. Dude, I know we're coming to a close here and everything. Always curious to hear what's in people's Ethereum wallets that's unrelated to whatever they're currently working on. Just little stuff you've picked up or are collecting on the side, or any interesting projects that you scooped up some stuff. What do you got going on in there?
I'm all across the board. Obviously, I'm an art collector. I have quite a few pieces I'm excited and proud about. Virtual lands, number of plots. Still holding on to some, dare I say, shit coins from like the 2017. Just the hope is the hope is there. The hope is there. And obviously, like there are a lot of projects that I still support, or I hold coins for. I guess it's just my mindset has really just shifted a lot away from just the huge focus on finance and fintech and an evolution of fintech to community and these kind of like opportunities around governance and like commerce. I feel like there's something more there that hasn't been explored as much as it could or should be. And so that's really been like my focus recently. And on that, topic, I'd say like one of the things that I love, and we're also it's a spin-off of MetaCartel, but what's happening with Metagame, and the creation of basically this massive online coordination game. They're essentially gamifying life. They have their own kind of reputation token called Seeds. So that's like, in terms of what's in the wallet and stuff. So that's a big one. And this is kind of like RuneScape meets real life. And like if you think what we're doing at MetaFactory is kind of crazy and wild, you'd love what they're up to. So
cool.
Yeah. But yeah, that's like, I'd say that's kind of the main focus at the moment.
So for the folks at home that are listening who are FOMOing out of control, like trying to figure out, okay, when am I going to be able to invest in all of this and scoop these dope physical and digital products? Like, what are the channels that they should be following to make sure that they're up to date and current with all the announcements that they need to be aware of?
Sure. Yeah. Twitter, we're pretty active at the MetaFactory. We have a Genesis group on Telegram. That's pretty active, off and on. I think as we get closer to launch and we get things going, it's going to become more so. You can join that. We have obviously a website, which is metafactory.ai. You can sign up for drops there. And then we'll probably be launching an Instagram soon, going into kind of our first options as well. So those are the main channels.
Sweet. I'll make sure to link to all of them in the show notes so folks can follow everything that they need to stay up to date. And well, Drew, it's been a fascinating talk. I really can't wait to see all of this get put into action. We're right at that point, it seems. So very excited there. I will be following both yourself and MetaFactory closely. Plus, MetaCartel is the shit. So we'll be keeping tabs on all the projects that they're involved in. So thank you very much for your time, and keep on building, man.
I appreciate it, guys. It's great talking to you.
Yeah, man. Likewise.
Cheers.
Hey, everybody. It's Matthew again, and I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Drew Harding, co-founder of the MetaFactory, as much as we did recording it. Apologies on the sound quality on my end. We'll be back with the crisp, beautiful sounding microphone from next week. And heading forward in the next couple of weeks, our pipeline of special interviews is looking really, really stacked. Next week, we'll be speaking with Sebastian and Nathan, who are working on the Sandbox, which is the user-generated virtual reality world. After that, we have a very special episode with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Connie Digital. And we'll also be speaking with someone from the Rare Arts Festival in the weeks to come. So look out for all those episodes. And as always, please subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts at, and recommend it to any friends whom you think would really enjoy this sort of content. And make sure you look out for the new scent that's dropping on Monday, 4/20. And with that, we'll see you next week. Scent on.
Scent Podcast. Scent Podcast. Scent Podcast. Scent. Podcast.